have to evaluate and try and figure out if it's safe for them to assemble and play a game tomorrow night. And if the answer is no, they'll look into postponing it. But there are a number of reasons it might still go on, one of which is, you know, the expanded practice squads this year, right? You have 16 men on a practice squad, up from 10 in the last CBA and 12, which is what it was supposed to be under the new CBA. You have contact tracing going on to try and determine where the positives come from. Did they generate from inside the team facility, or is it from players and other people circulating outside the team facility? And then there's the possibility that you could keep the Ravens apart today and have them fly to Pittsburgh tomorrow morning on game day because it's a short flight. So there are a number of ways the league can still look at getting this game played if they decide it is in fact safe for the Ravens to be together and play the game tomorrow night.
Hey, I'm remembering a scenario where the Patriots flew on game day earlier this year. It was a longer flight than that. We've seen this stuff happen. It's the primetime game on Thanksgiving, which is the NFL's biggest day of the year. If they can play this game, you know they're going to. Meanwhile, let's focus on the team itself. Dominique Foxworth, you're a former Raven. There's been a lot of conversation, a lot of doubt of them on this program this week. What can you tell us about what you're seeing from Baltimore?
Yeah, I mean, I think the doubt is fair, but I feel like I've seen so much overreaction. Like, it feels like people are saying that suddenly this team is soft or not tough. The Ravens have always been a really tough franchise and a real physical franchise. They had 1 week where they lost in overtime to Tennessee, and Henry had a couple good runs. They missed some tackles, and now all of a sudden they're soft and their future's in doubt. And I think the same can be said about Lamar Jackson. It feels like a lot of overreaction to him also. What happened for the Ravens last year was incredible. They had all the good breaks. And this year, it's the opposite. And they are right now 6-4, and they probably seem like they're on a course to miss the playoffs or be maybe the 8th seed. That wasn't what they were expecting. But I think 14-2 last year was a bit higher than you could expect, given the talent that they had on that roster. They're going to regroup, and I think they'll be back next year. I don't think they'll be as good as 14-2, but they won't have the injuries and the mishaps that they had this season, and they won't be as bad next year either.
For what it's worth, our Football Power Index had them favored in every single game this season before the season began, and we were talking about whether they might go unbeaten. That was the conversation before the season started. So, RC, you hear Neek sort of downplaying a lot of the criticism that has been on this show and others this week. What do you see?
Well, listen, to me, there was a great philosopher born in Buffalo, New York, named Brian McKnight. He had a song, and he said his shattered dreams and broken heart were mending on the shelf. That's where the Baltimore Ravens are going. Because when you think about dreams, when you think about expectations, that's how this team is judged. And I agree with Dominique. If we're just looking at this team in the vacuum of 2020 and they're 6-4 and they're having some struggles because some people are injured, I think we see it a different way. But we have to remember, this team was 14-2. This team was dominant last season, and coming into this season, we expected them to be even better. Like you said, Greeny, we were talking 16-0. So that's the prism we view them through. We view them through the prism of being 5-1 before playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now watching them struggle, watching them not be physical, seeing other teams take advantage of things that the Baltimore Ravens usually pride themselves on. And so that is an issue. That's an issue that will make you start to look at your team holistically and say, as we are constructed, as this coaching staff goes, can this team win a championship? Because the Baltimore Ravens, that's their ultimate goal. And when you have Lamar Jackson, who's one of the greatest talents in this league, you have a great coach, you expect the results, and they aren't getting those. And if they lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe the heat turns up in Baltimore.
Yeah, that would put them at 6-5 and very much on the fringe of the playoff chase. Desmond, as you watch them play, do they look like a team to you that needs a significant overhaul, or has this been the product of some injuries and some bad luck?
I think it's the latter of the two, some injuries and some bad luck. You look at the offensive line, they've been decimated by injuries. You got guys playing out of position, so that's going to hurt you. And then I believe that you look at Lamar Jackson, you know, he's experiencing that MVP curse, meaning that now, since he reached this height, he's trying to get back up to that height, and he's pressing. He's trying to be what he was a year ago, as opposed to trying to just let the game come to him, take what the defense gives him, and go out there and execute the offense. So at this point, the injuries has really hurt them. And then you're dealing with a quarterback who was an MVP a year ago, who's now still trying to play up to that type of status.
So that's where they sit right now. Again, it begins with whether they'll even be able to play tomorrow night or not. We'll keep a close eye on that. And then can they find a way to win a huge game in Pittsburgh? Meanwhile, our next stop is Tampa Bay, where they've got trouble. Buccaneers, Brady, up and down season. Brady has struggled at times with his accuracy and the deep ball. That is something his coach, Bruce Arians, directly and openly addressed yesterday. Listen to this.
We've had the guys open, we just missed them. And there are times when coverage dictates you go to that guy. I think we can do a better job utilizing the deep ball in our game plan, more of or less of. So each and every week's so different. But when they're there, we need to hit them. We can't have them going off our fingertips, and we can't overthrow them. Other than the deep ball, I think he's getting confused a few times with coverage. That might be causing some inaccurate balls, but I don't see it at all in practice. We're not missing the deep ball in practice, that's for sure. So it's just a matter on Sundays hitting them.
Wow. What the actual heck did he just say? Dan,
you know what you wanted to say, Greeny?
I did the best I could. RC, I'm going to give it to you first. Graziano, I'm coming to you. But just, RC, when you heard that, when you first heard those comments, what was your first reaction?
That was it. Like my eyes bugged out of my head. I actually had no words because this is new. It's not even just about Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. We just don't hear this about quarterbacks in general. Most times you want to protect your quarterback. So many times I've been in meetings where I would hear Coach Tomlin or hear a coach talk to a quarterback a certain way, and then when you listen to the press conference, you'd be like, you didn't say none of that in the meeting Monday morning. It wasn't none of that. Oh, he got better. He did, but that's kind of what you're used to. And so this is a new thing for us all. I believe this is a new thing for Tom Brady. But it made me think about friendships, right? Like it made me think about homeboys. Like Dom is my homeboy, right? Dom be wrong sometimes. Right, he's going to do some things that I don't necessarily agree with. But because of the code, though, like if Dom is wrong in front of all y'all in the meeting, I'm not going to say he wrong. And I'm talking about on a personal level. I'm going to back Dom. I'm going to be like, yeah, Dom, you right. They ain't treating us right. Let's go. We walking out in solidarity. But then when we get in the green room, I'm going to be like, bro, you was tripping. Like, we got to go fix this. But publicly, we don't usually see these things happen. I think it's a part of the relationship. It's a part of not having that chemistry. Right, they not homies. The 20 years that Tom Brady was the greatest of all time, that wasn't for Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians is talking about the dude he sees now. And that dude isn't playing well. That dude is missing throws. And he doesn't feel the need to protect him. And that's what we see.
So Dan Graziano, let me then come to you, because in your notes I saw that as you have made calls around the league, one of the theories that you have heard is a very interesting one to me.
Well, yeah, there's a theory that, I mean, look, there's a lot of theories, obviously, because it was supposed to work better than this. But one of them is that, there is real tension, right? I mean, like Bruce Arians and Tom Brady just met, right? It's almost like, Arians was watching some sort of movie star action hero and then met him in person and said, I thought you'd be bigger. But Brady had the ability to kind of direct how the roster was constructed to a certain extent, right? I mean, Leonard Fournette, LaShawn McCoy, Rob Gronkowski, and most prominently Antonio Brown, a player that Bruce Arians was on record in the offseason as not wanting and saying negative things about. He's on the team because Brady wanted him. So if you're Arians, you're looking, going, saying, this is what you wanted. We got you everything you asked for. Why aren't you delivering? Why doesn't it look like it looks in practice? And I think you're seeing some frustration bubble to the surface.
So, Nick, as I come to you, I want to put a full screen up. Cindy, let's put the numbers up there. I've been looking at this for the last couple of days. The offense that they are actually running, the Bruce Arians offense that turned Jameis Winston into a turnover machine, has now done something very similar to Tom Brady, who has already thrown more picks this year than he did all of last season. And part of the reason might be that he has thrown more balls, 20 yards or more in the air, than any other quarterback in the National Football League this season. And also more incompletions on those throws than any other quarterback this season. This is a 43-year-old quarterback who has made himself an icon with a three-step drop and getting the ball out quickly. So, Neek, I don't think it makes sense. What do you see as you watch that?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like they're not playing against their opponents as much as they're playing against the rest of us. And we all talked about how Tom Brady was too old and that his arm strength was waning. And it feels like they've come into this season looking to prove that we were wrong. And we were wrong. His arm strength looks fine. It just seems like something's happened with his decision making. So that's the curious part to me, is we look back to last season, we saw Tom Brady and we thought that maybe the lack of weapons or the conservative game plan by the Patriots was holding Tom Brady back. Maybe that wasn't the case. Maybe the best way for Tom Brady at 40 plus years old, the best way to run a team around him is play really good defense and ask him to be great every once in a while. 3-4 times a game, be great. You don't want to ask him to be great for an entire game, because sometimes you'll get those games where he's 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Then a few weeks later, he's playing like an old guy that kind of looks like Tom Brady.
So that's it, Nick. And excuse me, RC, in just a moment. Go ahead, go.
Yeah. No, like the big thing to me is, though, we can't get here and say, okay, because when he gets in the game, these things don't work out, that it's the coach's fault, or that it's on Bruce Arians, or it's on Byron Leftwich, because these passes are completed in practice, and these dudes are actually open in the game. Tom Brady is missing them. Whether it's the Carolina Panthers, the Los Angeles Rams, there have been open people downfield that Tom Brady has missed. And then you get games like the Los Angeles Chargers, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Carolina Panthers early on in the season, where he hits. That's the frustration. The frustration is like, have you ever been to Disney World? Right? When you look at Disney World on commercials and when people show you pictures, that junk looks amazing. And then you get there and you realize it's hot as hell in Orlando, and it's at